Welcome everyone to today's Chapter 5, Stakeholder and Governance. We are Antonia, Kati, Ellen and Judith. So today we'll focus on the chapter Stakeholder Governance, but we will mainly focus on the Governance chapter and we'll more focus on the Stakeholder chapter, but a short summary of the Governance chapter will be given at the end of the video.
First, we will give you a definition of stakeholder. A stakeholder is interested in the performance of a company for reasons other than just stock appreciation. Stakeholders are those individuals or groups that depend on an organization to fulfill their own goals and on whom, in turn, the organization depends. There are 5 types of stakeholders: economic stakeholders, social political stakeholders, technological stakeholders, community stakeholders, and internal stakeholders.
So, moving on to the stakeholder mapping. Stakeholder mapping identifies stakeholder power and attention in order to understand political priorities. As you can see in the stakeholder mapping, you have the power side and the interest side. And the power side means power is the ability of individuals or groups to pursue, induce, or coerce others into following certain courses of action. You have 2 different sides there as well. So, first, you have the sources of power, which are there within an organization or for external stakeholders. And secondly, you have the indicators of power, which are also within an organization or for external stakeholders.
Regarding the attention, it can be said that in assessing the attention that stakeholders are likely to pay, 3 factors are particularly important. The first one is criticality, the second one channels, and the third one cognitive capacity.
Looking at the stakeholder mapping again, you can see 4 different squares, A, B, C, and D. A is the minimal effort, so that are stakeholders which have a low level of attention and a low power. B are the stakeholders which you should keep informed, so they have a high level of interest or attention, but a low power. Then C are the stakeholders which have to be keep satisfied with a high power and a low level of attention. And last but not least, there is D, the key players, which have a high level of attention and a high power as well. And while putting these stakeholders in the different squares, you can ask yourself some questions. For example, who are the stakeholders who have the most influence on your project? Which stakeholders will be most affected by your project? Or who controls the resources? Okay, now we will do a stakeholder mapping for the Ryanair company, and first we will have a look at the square A, which is minimal effort, and we put the suppliers in there, for example Boeing, because they have a low interest but also low power because they have other companies which they can focus on and they don't have a power in the Ryanair company itself. Then for the B, we have employees because they have a high level of attention because they work for the company but they don't have a power at all because as you know, Michael O'Leary is the most powerful person in Ryanair and not the employees. Then in C, we have keep satisfied. We have the European Union because they have a high power for the company, but they don't have they have a low interest level. And last but not least, there's D, the key players, so the customers, and they have a high power and a high interest because they have to book with Ryanair, but also if they go to another competitor, Ryanair, they kind of need them, so they have a high power for that.
So that was our part about the stakeholders. The following few minutes will give insight into the governance chapter and will focus on the corporate governance, the governance chain, the shareholder model of governance, stakeholder model of governance, and the corporate social responsibility and its different types. Have fun.